If I could, before we go to more questions, is it possible, Ida, would you like to address the board by chance? I'll introduce to you Ida Moore.
Good evening. My name's Ida, and I want to thank you very much for all the time and attention that I know you've given to this project. And I hope that you'll forgive me because I'm not used to standing in front of people and talking. This is horrifying to me. I would much rather be behind the scenes working. As a matter of fact, I'm just an ordinary nobody person who happens to live in the greatest country in the whole world, and I can tell you that personally, I know that. And one who serves an awesome God who can take an ordinary nobody person and do extraordinary awesome things. I believe that with all my heart. And this is the spot that I want this building to be at, where First Baptist blessed so many people, changed lives, and it's just exactly where I want this business to be. And Mr. Azier, I'm glad you could think back on your wedding days and pageant days. And if everybody here could think back a little bit about your wedding time, I know most of you are men. Think about the time, the wonderful time, the exciting time that was, surrounding a wedding, families and friends coming together from all over and celebrating. We need that celebration here in Raytown. And with this project, we need florists, we need photographers, we need spas, we need not just one, lots of them. We need bakers, limousine drivers and owners. We need restaurants, coffee shops, Mama's Big Donuts. The list just goes on and on and on. As a matter of fact, I think somebody wrote a book that says it takes a village to build a wedding. So,
Or something like that.
or something like that. Somebody should write that. I was really excited to hear Mr. Knoll talking, and I need to get back and find him and ask him if there's anything that he's going to do about Blue Ridge Boulevard, because a boulevard is supposed to have an island in the middle, and I envision that. Blue Ridge Boulevard is going to be beautiful. Hopefully we'll have an island in the middle, trees and shrubs and flowers, and beautiful lights at Christmas time, something we can really be proud of. And something else I envision, and I see it, I can honestly see it, is people all over the country calling each other on the phone and saying, I'll see you in Raytown, Grandma. I'll see you in Raytown, Aunt Susie. And I hope you catch the vision with me and help. Thank you.
I've got one other question for you. Now, you haven't just been a seamstress for the last couple of years. You told a story in the interview that was just, it's still on my mind, and I was trying to prompt you a little bit for that story. You started sewing at a very early age.
I did, out of necessity. My father escaped the Bolsheviks when he was in Russia. And he came to the border of Iran, and that's where I was born. So you don't go to the store, the department stores to buy clothes. But he did have one person that came with him across the border, and that was the nanny that raised the family. And my mother died when I was 2. So I sat most of the time on her lap, on our nanny's lap, and she just sewed. She sewed for all of us. And almost all the clothes were made at home. And I was sharing with the council, we don't realize that our kids are listening, and everything that they hear and see goes into their computer, and at some time it comes out. And I never realized that I was learning from our nanny. And my father was the type of person that didn't accept B's and C's. He always wanted us to do the best. So when we came to America, I not only talked weird and funny, but we dressed funny because my stepmother, my father remarried, and she didn't know how to buy clothes where we looked acceptable. So I decided when I went to junior high school that I would learn how to sew, not knowing that I already knew. It was in there. And we didn't talk back to our teachers. We didn't talk back to our parents. We were just taught different. It was a different way. But I took a sewing class at Presidio Junior High in San Francisco, my first year there in junior high. And there was a teacher, she was very young, and she made us an apron. She had us make an apron that took 6 months, and it just drove me crazy. And this was totally unlike me, but I stood up and I said, that's not the way you do it, because I think somebody just turned the light on in my head, and I remembered everything our nanny did. And I just knew that wasn't the way to do it, because I couldn't wait to get home and burn that apron. It was so awful. So I went home, I got a whooping, and I got an F. My only F I ever got was in sewing. So anyway, I went home and I got patterns and I started sewing, and I never took a lesson, but everything I learned sitting on our nanny's lap just came back to me. And I can remember prom time and high school events. I was just sewing away like crazy for all my friends at school, and I never had friends until they found out I could sew, and they wanted to know, where did you get that? Where did you get that? But I enjoyed it, and many years later, I came here to Kansas City with my husband. This was his hometown, but I still did a lot of costumes for the San Francisco Ballet and different theaters around here, Ingersoll Dinner Theater, and quite a few with other work that I did. But I went back to the Presidio Junior High, and I took 2 tickets to the ballet to the teacher that told me those 3 sentences. And I told her I wanted to thank her from the bottom of my heart, because God used her as an instrument to show me what I should do. And she was very, very embarrassed. And I said, do you remember me and what you said? She said, you sit down, you shut up, you'll never amount to anything. But I did give her 2 tickets to the ballet, and she accepted that. And I showed her, you know, the things that I've done. And I am a very humble person. I do like to be behind the scenes. But I wanted her to know, you know, that her words was exactly what I needed to do what I had really enjoyed doing. Anyway, that's how I got started sewing.
Great story. Thank you for telling it again tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, back to questions from the board for Mr. Gunther or Mr. Cole. Mr. Mock?
Yeah, Ida, how long have you been in Raytown?
1968.
Oh, good. We added a few years. I like that.
There you go.
Mr. Wiley had said, you know, basically this ends up, this is the Raytown connection. And nothing I like better is a Raytown connection. Okay? Businesses that will follow. You know, being around the business all my life, and generations back in from Raytown here, and seeing businesses come back to Raytown. That's what I imagine right now. You know, it's funny, 2 weeks ago, my wife was doing modeling and modeling wedding dresses for another bridal store. And I had heard rumor about Ida's before this, and I told her, I said, you know, just think about the promise that could come with this. And, you know, herself, you know, has been around this business quite a bit also. And she knows the promise. Steve, you'd mentioned the ground source heat.